Greetings everybody and welcome to a video here on YouTube. I am Napalm Dawn and today we're taking a look at Marvel Avengers Alliance Redux Beta 2 for the subject of a video, Where Are They Now? So I had an idea for a video where I wanted to go through some of the more lesser known characters that we had in Marvel Avengers Alliance and discuss in what other games you can currently find them, and just, kind of touch base with the characters in other games and see how they're doing. The question on everybody's mind is, how is Beta 4 going? When are we going to see the release of Beta 4? Unfortunately, at this time, I still don't particularly have any idea. I haven't seen as much of Goofy on Discord and social media as of late, so I don't quite know the status of it. But let's go ahead and get into the video. So, pretty much in the beginning, the original release characters, these people all have been in many Marvel games, including Marvel Avengers Alliance. It's not until we get a few pages in before we really get to see some that are definitely more rare. Now, a lot of the mutants that you see in Marvel Avengers Alliance kind of went on hiatus for a while because of the inner workings of the fight between Marvel Studios with the MCU and, of course, the mutant universe. But now things are getting more unified in games, and we are seeing for several years now mutants returning to games. Now, you remember in Marvel Avengers Alliance, as they went through, they got to the point where Cannonball and Molly were the last two mutants, and then everything after that was not mutant related. So Marvel Avengers Alliance even fell victim to that little war. So let's go ahead and get into it. So we could definitely clear the first 2 pages or so pretty clean, with the exception of Kitty Pryde, who, thanks to the mutant ban, really was not appearing in several games until Marvel Strike Force and Future Fight. She did show up there. On this page, Nightcrawler isn't in too many games since Avengers Alliance. He is in Future Fight, and that's kind of about it. She-Hulk also does not have a good deal of popularity. However, she is in Strike Force and slated to appear in Marvel's Avengers. Spider-Woman's been in a few games, was a paywall character in Marvel Future Fight. She is a pretty solid card in Marvel Duel, and she doesn't really exist anywhere else aside from that. Did not make it into Strike Force, even though there was a Web Warriors update. On this page, Storm is in Realm of Champions. She's in Future Fight, so she's doing pretty good for herself. Of course, Thor, War Machine appear in lots of places. Wolverine is now in Marvel Duel as a hero. Scarlet Witch, Black Panther all do pretty well for themselves. Mockingbird, not too many games for her. She's kind of just a bog standard melee character. However, we do have to remember that she turned into Nurkod in Marvel Avengers Alliance later in the game and actually did pretty decently in that skin. Here, Emma, Rogue, popular. Gambit is lacking a lot of popularity. People are begging for him to show up in Strike Force, and he plays a pretty decent role in Future Fight. Magic showed up in Marvel Future Revolution. Haven't played her yet, definitely want to. Was also a very, very solid character in Marvel Heroes. Definitely one of the characters I leveled to 60. Deadpool is certainly popular. Ghost Rider is. Quicksilver is in Future Fight. Hercules, nope. Just the one appearance for him in Avengers Alliance, and that's it. Not really seeing too much of Hercules anywhere. Beast has got a few games along with Cable. This version of Valkyrie is the only time we see her. Marvel Duel has the movie Valkyrie, and Marvel Future Fight has the movie Valkyrie, but we haven't seen Classic Valkyrie appear anywhere Tigra has been lost to time, but she is in Contest of Champions. Psylocke, Punisher all have some games. Havoc is in Contest of Champions, and that's about it. Real shame. This guy is really getting done dirty for his appearances in games. Magneto is in several. X-23 is in Future Fight and Strike Force. This iteration of Wasp is not really around in too many places. Even she did make an appearance in Marvel Avengers Alliance 2, but that's really about it for Janet. Most characters, or most games now, work with Hope. Original Ant-Man is not in too many places. He is an NPC in Marvel's Avengers, but in terms of playable Ant-Men, it is usually Scott Lang that is playable. Captain Britain didn't survive Avengers Alliance. This is the only game he's been playable in. Same for Phantom X, and same for Black Knight. Vision has appeared in almost all of the games, thanks to the MCU. And now Omega Sentinel is actually about ready to drop in Contest of Champions. However, definitely more of a wicked look to her. Let's see if I can get a image of how she looks in Contest of Champions, because Contest of Champions doesn't want you running on any kind of emulator. Yeah, I mean, she is... Well, that actually looks more like the Marvel Avengers Alliance one, but this is how I've seen her in the game, and she looks particularly evil, very, very wicked. And she's actually a villain in the game. And here is a new version of Psylocke as Captain Britain in Contest of Champions. But you can see here, I mean, that's the Omega Sentinel we know, and just look at how dark that one is. This cannon was available as a gun in Marvel Avengers Alliance, the Vajra, I think it was called. So Omega Sentinel's kind of getting a little bit of love, but surprisingly he's been left in the dirt until recently. Shitter Star, as I like to call him, is now in Strike Force. Really, that's the only place he exists. Poor Union Jack doesn't exist anywhere. Rescue is in Strike Force, and I do believe she's in Future Fight. Red Hulk is in Future Fight. Juggernaut is in several games. Thundra, who was supposed to be a worthy, except for the fact that poor Playdominant Avengers Alliance could not secure the rights to continue working with her due to the Fantastic Four association that she had. I mean, she already looks like she's halfway to being a worthy. We don't see her anywhere. Wonder Man is a card in Marvel Duel, but he's not appeared anywhere, and Constrictor is also nowhere. Angel is rumored to be coming to Strike Force with the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, and he is in Future Fight. And I also do believe he has his Uncanny X-Force skin over there, or the Archangel skin. Let me tell you before I get off of talking about Archangel, very underrated character. The Angel character was liked in PvP a little bit right after he dropped because he was a good healer, he was good support. However, Archangel was surprisingly good up until the end of the game if you know how to use him and who to pair him with. Damien Hellstrom is available in Future Fight, and sadly we never got the series that we had hoped for. He was in Battle Lines, I believe, along with Satana, but he makes an appearance in Future Fight, as does Satana. As a matter of fact, she got censored in Future Fight. One of her moves was considered too sexual, and actually got censored, at least here in the States. It's a shame these two really aren't in too many places. Bishop is definitely in several games, including being a somewhat recent addition to Strike Force. Electro appears in plenty of games. Ares, only Avengers Alliance for him. Squirrel Girl, Strike Force, available. Black Bolt is definitely in several games. Thane, only one game for him. Same for Spiral. Moon Knight's got a few, and everybody on this page actually does fairly well with themselves, with Dr. Voodoo now recently being added to Strike Force as part of a supernatural hunters group. I think they are called Spirit Slayers. Let's see, Marvel Strike Force Spirit. Yeah, there they are. So he now goes with what used to be the supernatural team. He now goes with Morbius and Elsa and a couple of the others previously categorized as supernatural characters. See, there it is, Spirit Slayer. So Morbius is making an appearance now in Strike Force, so that could bode well for Blade, especially when his movie comes around. Domino's in several games, as is Sabretooth. Doom is pretty popular. Sadly, Nico really only has Avengers Alliance in this form. She is Sister Grimm in Future Fight, but she never really gets any of her friends or Runaways, so I really kind of consider that the Wish version of Nico. Off-brand Nico, really. So, yeah, unfortunately, the Runaways don't exist in many games. Moonstone is a card in Marvel Duel, and really that's about it. Agent Venom is in Future Fight, and that's it for him. Sunfire's never appeared anywhere. Iceman has a few games. The Warriors 3 really don't, but they do exist in Marvel Duel. They are available for Thor decks. Falcon is in several games, as is Taskmaster. Of course, the Guardians of the Galaxy are. Sandman is available in Future Fight and Marvel Duel. Shayna has not existed in any games. Anti-Venom is in several. Guardians of the Galaxy, we're not going to talk about them. Cannonball, none. Tampon Man, none for him. Medusa is. She tends to go wherever the royal family goes, so she does show up. Kazar and Kang do not. Gorgon, sadly, does not. He does not follow the royal family anywhere. Blade is definitely in several, as is, of course, Karnak. Fixer is not. Morbius is now showing up in Strike Force. Good for him. Sadly, one of my favorite characters of all time in Marvel Avengers Alliance, Molly Hayes, until the stamina nerf, no games for her. Hybrid, no games for him, despite his resemblance to Carnage, who does show up in several games. Crystal does. She is in Strike Force, and I do believe Future Fight. Nova appears in several games, although mostly the adult Nova. BRB, Thorse is in several games, and just recently showed up in Marvel Duel. He's a pretty good character in Future Fight. Enchantress is a very good paywall character in Future Fight. Runaways, we're just going to declare this right now. They're not in other games, sadly, so we're going to pass right through them. Angela is in some. She was in the Universal Weapon, which was a short-lived mobile game that was available for Android and iOS. She is also in Marvel Duel, but really, sadly, nowhere else. Destroyer is not in too many games. He's in Future Fight, and a Destroyer armor shows up for Thor in Realm of Champions. Kate is enjoying some popularity thanks to the Disney show. She is in Future Fight, and she is in Strike Force as a young Avenger. Deathlock never made it there. Miles Morales, who I absolutely hated in Marvel Avengers Alliance. I hated the sprite. He just looks like E.T. And thought his kit was trash, and thought of him as trash in Future Fight. I actually do believe that he's showing up relatively well in games lately. He does pretty well for himself. He's good in Strike Force. Superior Spider-Man, sadly, never really got anywhere else, but I mean, it's Doc Ock, who does make appearances in other games, and I always found superior to Ultimate, no pun intended. Classic Spider-Man Noir. So the stealth suit is going to show up for Spider-Man in Marvel's Avengers if you have a PS4 or PS5. But Spino, as good as he was in Avengers Alliance, never really showed up anywhere else. But again, the stealth suit is in some places like Future Fight. This version of Ant-Man is in plenty of games. Quake is definitely in games, usually related to the Inhumans. Modern Spider-Girl, Anya Corazon, has not appeared. Hyperion is in Future Fight and Marvel Duel. Spider-Gwen has now shown up in Strike Force as part of the Web Warriors. Good for her. Sadly, Miguel O'Hara, 2099 Spider-Man, really is not playable in too many other games. Blizzard is not. Silk is. She is in Marvel Duel, and she was a good speed character in Future Fight for a while. She's retained some popularity. Mary Jane Watson or Mayday Parker, May Parker, haven't really seen much from her. Same thing for A-Bomb. Mordo is in several games, is in Strike Force, is in Future Fight as an underrated damage dealer, and is in Marvel Duel. Spitfire never made it out of this game. Really sad because she had such a power level in this game, and despite the fact that I always used to like to joke that she looked like Firestar, which was a childhood crush right there, Spitfire, as groundbreaking as she was in Avengers Alliance, never really appeared out of the game. Misty Knight is in several games, as is Kamala Khan, who is basically the main character in Marvel's Avengers and kind of saved the game early on when people found the game lackluster. Everybody said Kamala's humor and voice actress was a massive high point. It took Elsa a little while, but she showed up in Future Fight, and she is in Strike Force. She is pretty good, although I think her strength still is highest in Avengers Alliance. Jessica is in several games as vanilla and plain as she is. Boomerang is not. Colleen is now a member of the Heroes for Hire in Strike Force. Howard the Duck is in Contest of Champions and Marvel Duel. Red She-Hulk is not in any. Winter Soldier is in several. Kraven is in Future Fight, as is the Lizard. And really that's about it. Hellcat is not anywhere. Electro in some form is in some of the other Marvel games. He does show up from time to time. Not as often as, well, let me think. It's the female version of this outfit is in Strike Force. It's not the Jamie Foxx one, it's this one, but it's female. Cammy, no, and God, no, please bury Cammy under 7 pounds of Drax's shit, please. Cloak and Dagger do appear in games, but they're usually split as Cloak and Dagger. Strike Force had them, and Battle Lines had them. Shocker is in Strike Force. Death Locket is nowhere. J-Thor does make an appearance in a few games. She is in Future Fight. But really, that's about it. Blue Marvel. Beetle did not. Mantis is available in Strike Force, and I do believe Future Fight. Same thing for Moondragon. Songbird is in Future Fight, and that's about it. Adult Nova is in a few games. He is a card in Marvel Duel. Also, Knight America was for the anniversary of Captain America, and he was only doled out to this game, really did not appear anywhere else. Faiza has not appeared anywhere else, despite her immense strength in Avengers Alliance. There are some characters in Contest of Champions that kind of look like her, and my god, I never really knew just how powerful Faiza really is. This picture down here says it all. She could deconstruct everything on a molecular level and put it back together, which could explain why her healing was so good in Avengers Alliance. But that's Black Knight over there. She's literally disassembling Black Knight on you would almost think a Professor X level. She's just That's what she does. If she has an innate knowledge of something, she could break it down, and that is a horrifying picture. To know the powers that this represents, horrifying. Truly, truly horrifying over there. Ronan is, of course, in plenty of games. Phyla-Vell did catch up to being in some games. She's now in Strike Force. Warlock is in several games, Strike Force and Future Fight. White Tiger is now in Strike Force as a member of Shadowlands. So there we go, guys. There's a little base touching with some of the characters of Marvel Avengers Alliance and a look as to where they are now. I did say that in the first few pages, a lot of them had multiple games, but Black Cat is in Future Fight, and then you typically really don't see her anywhere else. Any of the Avengers definitely appear in multiple games. Core X-Men now Fantastic Four are all in multiple games. We lack the worthy, though, so really some of what we lack are fringe members of all of the worthy tend to not make it. Some fringe members of X-Force don't show up. Some really classic mutants don't show up, like poor Havoc. Havoc definitely deserves more games than just Contest of Champions, but sadly he's not. Tigra, one of the best ways to play Tigra is to go into a DC game and play Cheetah. That's really the way to do it. Classic Wasp, you don't see too much. Omega Sentinel's getting some love now, but I really don't know what faction can pull her into a game. Strike Force tends to work with factions so many times. I'm not really sure what's going to pull her into any game, because she doesn't really typically go with a faction. You could put her in her evil side with Sentinels, but then you're only getting 2 characters. What else are you going to do? Well, okay, Nimrod, a Sentinel Master Mold, Omega Sentinel, and then I don't even know what you would do for a 5th there. You guys would have to tell me, because I think once you deal with Omega, a standard Sentinel, and Nimrod, really what's left? Trask? You have a human Trask and then 4 mechanical related beings. Red Hulk definitely has the potential to appear in more. It's, I think, very easy to give Hulk a skin in a game and turn him into Red Hulk. There is a Realm of Champions skin that turns Hulk into Red Hulk. Again, Wonder Man is kind of factionless, unless they do the West Coast Avengers might be the only way to pull Wonder Man into a game. Damien and Satana, they do okay. They still should be more. Maybe some games we're waiting to see if the series panned out before we got a Moon Knight. We're about ready to see a series on, and he was pretty good in Marvel Heroes. Dr. Voodoo coming out of left field to make an appearance in Strike Force, really, really surprising. But then again, maybe they are setting up for Blade when he drops, and the Deadpool 2, of course, keeps Domino in the forefront. Agvi, yeah, tough to get him into something unless you do completely all symbiotes, and Strike Force has the symbiotes kind of merged in with Spider-Verse and some others, so it's kind of hard to get Age of Venom in there, but he's okay in Marvel Future Fight. Not the worst, not the best. And then, poor Cannonball, Shayna Kazar, really hard to bring them into things. I don't know who else you're going to get out of Savage Land. You could get skins for Savage Land related content. I don't know how you get other characters out of Savage Land other than Kazar and Shayna. It could put Hybrid in if you're doing like a symbiote update, give you Agent Venom and Hybrid, maybe Agent Anti-Venom, the way Future Fight has got that out there. And the Runaways, sadly, no major press for the Runaways. when it comes to other games, despite the fact that they had a series. Definite shame over there. And yeah, I mean, you wouldn't expect to see Blizzard anywhere. You wouldn't really expect to see Deathlock anywhere. Although I think he was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., if I remember correctly, but I never watched it. So, what do you guys think is the biggest crime that a character was in Marvel Avengers Alliance and hasn't appeared anywhere else? I think Faiza's got to be one of them. I think Spitfire's got to be another. I just think any worthy could be a major crime. I mean, we wouldn't get the Marvel Avengers Alliance worthy because it was specific to this game. But who do you really think was strong and good in Avengers Alliance and deserved to appear in other games? I definitely got to throw Molly into that too. I thought Molly was one of the best ass kickers in all of Avengers Alliance history. So that's all for me, guys. Stay tuned for the next video on the channel, which I think will be my opinion on the most broken item in Avengers Alliance history. And if you know me, and you know my channel, and you know my Twitch streams when the game was live in 2015-16, what do you guys think I'm going to classify as the most broken item? Go ahead and put it down in the comments below if you want to guess, and you'll see when the next video comes out. See you, everybody.